reason yet.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if an infant which doesn't have the capacity to differentiate between right and wrong, do you think it should be killed? An infant is already born.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
do you think it should be killed?
No.
But using your principle, it shouldn't matter, right? Because no, I'm saying using your principle, because your principle was because it doesn't have the capability to think.
Yeah.
An infant, a toddler doesn't have the capability to think.
Yeah.
Yes. So what, we go massacre them as well?
No.
Absolutely not.
Of course not.
That's the reason I'm saying anyone who tries to trivialize this is not really taking into consideration the fact that this is a potential human being.
Yeah, I think.
You see what I mean? Imagine someone like Einstein or some other great person was terminated. Yes?
That's the harder thing.
So this, we cannot just trivialize this just because.
No, it's
say
not
to
a
men,
trivial topic.
that's why you say to men, keep it in control, like don't go out and like leave it to women about this.
And today, most of these terminations take place with the consent of the parents, which is even worse, you know, because you, the only person who's going to protect that child, is now giving the permission to the doctor to rip it apart. Sorry for the language I use. You know, if anyone who has seen, trust me, if you have seen abortion, yes, the way they rip it apart limb by limb. You know, by the time it's 14 weeks, it's already like a human being, with its head, with its body, exactly like a miniature human
What do you
being.
think about the morning after pill?
What about it? That's contraception, isn't it?
No, it's not. The morning after.
Kills them. It's a contraception. It's
No,
kind
that's
of,
the pill. The morning after pill is the day after.
Which-
You think you've got
yeah, but do you use?
have the symptoms of being pregnant.
No, so that's
That's
the
a-
fertilization.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're not really killing a child, you're stopping the fertilization.
And
So
that's
the sperm and the egg haven't united, so it stopped right there. So
that's
it's
a good
just
thing.
like-
Imagine if a woman's raped,
Yeah,
she has to
exactly.
take that.
No, that's different. That's an exception.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I
So-
was going to ask
so-
her about.
so
about
if a
abortion.
rape-
What if she's raped, but then
Look, in the case of rape, in the case of where there's a danger to the mother's life, in the case of where there's a danger, yeah. So these are exceptional cases. In this case, if there is termination, yeah. If that, no, I did say. I think in the very beginning I said that there are certain exceptions where I would agree with the termination of the pregnancy. But you see,
what
most
if
of
the
the.
parents can't provide for the child? Like, you know,
Well, you mean if they're poor?
yeah.
Then there are. Then they look.
alternatives.
First and foremost, they shouldn't be planning to have a child.
Yeah, they
Yes?
can be.
And even if they even if they're having sex or something, there are contraceptions, you know. It's not like they're on. So if that is the case, then there is alternative. But once you have had a child, once you're pregnant, then it is the sole responsibility of the parents to safeguard its preservation. You see what I mean? Because to me, a life is sacred regardless of how small it is. And once a parent has decided that they want to terminate this pregnancy without without a reason, without any justification, then to me that is nothing short of murder.
The whole idea.
That's how I see it. So you see, there are many things.
Really good point.
I think there are many things that the feminist agenda should actually take into
Yeah, but
consideration.
that's what I'm saying is for me feminism is literally just like what I said of like just one line of like I want equal rights to men. But like maybe in a different way than you explained it. But I just but not every feminist believes in the same things. We don't have all the same agenda. Like we don't have like this massive list like everyone wants the same
When you say
thing.
equal rights, why do you want your standards to be that of like a man?
That's
Like
not
why?
what I'm saying. I don't
Isn't that what feminism normally
No,
does?
because
Sometimes it's more than that.
They compare like,
Sometimes
oh, why
men-
don't we get that as men?
No,
Why
but
don't we get
men
this as men?
sometimes don't have the same things that women have.
Obviously.
Yeah, so they like,
That's what I'm
if
saying,
we're
that-
at the same, and it's not gonna have to be like a comparison. It's just like this level and this level.
But men and
Both
women
need
are
to be
different. They're not
right.
same. You know that. Both physically, mentally.
but not the same.
No, that's what we were talking about. I mentioned to her equity, not equality. So equity is basically where you give the right to whom deserves more. For example, once you have a child, then I think the mother who is responsible for the nurturing of the child, it should be given more holidays than the man. Okay? I wouldn't call for equality there as a man. I wouldn't say, oh no, give the man the same number of holidays or time off from work as a woman. Because who's going to breastfeed the child?
Even though she's the first couple of months of the child.
Say again?
And formula.
I'm assuming you're not a mother. Wow. Tell me when you become a mother, how difficult breast pumps are. Okay, so you see, I can see young ladies here, and I see that your agenda, your intention is good, which is a good thing. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to practicality, there are a lot of different questions that you need to answer and need to tackle.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is feminism is so different. Like every single person goes into this world so differently and like needs different things. Like it's not like feminism is like one whole. You can't
It's all the same brush. There's
like
different
every
types.
single.
How would you define feminism? Let's see if I get 3 different answers or 1 answer.
You get 3 different answers.
It's like you get what it means to you as an individual. I'm sure, like me as a mixed race gay woman, feminism would mean something different.
So what does it mean to you? How would you define feminism?
I don't want to say
You guys-
the words that are like.
No, we won't hold it against you. I just want to know from your
For
perspective.
me, it's what I said, that men and women should be equal, but we're not the same. And I do identify fundamental differences between men and women.
When you say
But
they
I
should be
think-
equal, what do you mean?
As in, we shouldn't be at a disadvantage. Like, if you look historically.
Oh, you mean they should be given the rights?
Women. Put one. Let me finish. Historically,
Yeah.
women have been at a
Waste man, Tommy.
Yeah, they have been
and,
at a
and that's
disadvantage.
true.
I agree with that.
That's true. And I think we've come a long way, it's true, but there are still things that need to be done, and in different parts of the world as well. Again, if you look at, I don't know, Asia, Africa, all the different continents, again, feminism means something different to each person. You recognise that, no?
No, you haven't defined feminism. You have only
How can
defined.
feminism be subjective?
Why do you think it's objective? Because subjective.
In terms
No,
of
subjective.
That's
Like
subjective,
why is it
personal
in
different
terms
for
of
different
why
women?
can it mean something different?
Yeah, why? So what do you think that we don't already have that we actually need to have? So I don't know. It depends.
In what way is different?
No, she's asking. I think why would you define it differently?
Why your background, your race? I as a white woman have more rights than someone as a woman of color. And like,
Okay, so for
But
example,
that's even meant for women.
Have you heard
Even
of
men.
no, I mean, every country is now so sensitive. Like you can't say anything to anybody, and you can get sued for potentially making any comment.
There are-
And
there
I
are
just don't
areas-
think it can be very
there are
subjective.
areas where it goes
And
too
I
far.
think we've been doing this wrong the whole time. Why are you fighting for equal rights? You should just fight for more rights. Why do you feel like feminism should
everyone's
be
rights.
equality?
Yes, agreed. But the reason why there was a need for feminism in the first place was because women were at a disadvantage, and there is still.
Wow, I'm talking about now.
So you think now women are fine? You're saying there's
So yeah, what can we not do? Please tell me what we can do. I'm a woman.
Give an
I just really want to know
example.
what it is.
It's
we're
really
talking
like,
about
for instance, like I think in schools, if you look at like
give an
English,
example.
maths, like if you look at the subjects like engineering, maths and stuff, if you look at the classrooms, it's all like promoted for boys to be in that classroom. Like the toys that are targeted to boys and to girls, it's very different. If you go to a toy shop, if you look at the different toys, you see.
Hold on,
like
you
how-
went from engineering to toys.
Yeah, because it's childhood. What you do in your
Let me ask you
childhood.
this.
Wait,
let me
let me
Okay, go on.
Because what you do in your childhood,
Yeah.
exactly what you do in your childhood influence what you do. Like you're not.
Oh, I see
you're
what you
not
mean.
gonna,
Okay.
You're not going to be 20 and be like, oh, suddenly I want to do this and I have never.
So what
experienced
toys would you
this.
suggest we should
Yeah,
have for
what,
children?
I think just like
Should boys
anyone
play
can
with
be anything.
dolls?
So like you have like
Boys
basic.
play with dolls. Maybe small cars.
No, hold on. Just because somebody plays with cars doesn't mean they're going to become engineers.
No, I'm not saying literally cars. You're going to become an engineer.
So let me ask you this: why do less number of
Why would you
And
give
like-
a baby
let me
to
ask this question: why do less number of women enroll in engineering classes? Answer that question.
Babies
It's less
naturally.
successful. Like
Don't blame the toys.
Babies naturally are connected to
Don't
their
blame the toys.
parents.
The toys are not the one.
When you're growing up,
child
all right. For instance,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, the toys that I was given, my brother was given, as
I started
presents were very
learning how
different.
to look
I'm
after
a
him.
tomboy. When I was growing
Yeah,
up, I
but
really
like
liked
when you're
like
already
sports
a
and
baby,
stuff,
why do you need to
and I would
learn
give
how
like
to look
Barbie and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to play with that.
So
My
you
brother
give her a
got stuff
Star
like
car.
no, hang on, let me finish.
I think
This is not like
women
a.
are
finish,
losing their
finish.
rights.
Yeah.
There used to be this question in the
I'm
past.
just trying to-
Working class man works hard.
Hang
Used to be at home.
on. No, that's you're nitpicking. You're nitpicking.
It's a fair point.
You choose your career as an engineer.
It's a general point. You're nitpicking on what I'm saying by saying that
That's
just
the
because
thing
I
is,
mentioned
it's really
toys,
hard.
I'm not saying like all the toys have to be the same as well. The idea.
That's the thing is, like,
of,
this
like,
happens each time. Like, you
No,
ask
I understand what you're saying.
You know-
But what I'm saying is, by the time
The
you
thing
choose
is,
your
you ask
career,
us for
you're like
example.
18, 19, 20 years old.
Yes.
Do you really think that you don't know at that stage whether you should go in engineering or into art?
That's what I'm saying earlier. When you're at the age when you're playing with toys, that's when you get.
I don't think you should use that as an
So then can I lie? Can I ask
The thing is,
biology?
decision of your life.
When I'm 7 and I'm playing with Action Man, have I decided there and then that that's what I want to do?
Yeah.
I want to be an
That's
Action
not
Man.
my logic. That's
No,
not what I'm
because
saying.
so then what I want to say is that as I grow up, other things influence me
Yeah.
to decide what I want to do. I want to be an engineer.
Right.
Other things influence me, and now I'm an actor.
Sure, but
Right?
it's
It's got nothing to do with the toys.
the thing is, you asked her
You
for
can't
an
say that
example.
as someone who's experienced that thing.
Guys, you asked her for an example. You didn't give.
She's giving you that.
You didn't give.
Okay,
You
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
ask her for the life history of one woman growing up from a baby and doing every single aspect. This is literally
What I can say, what I understand
Subjectivity when you're a child
is my masculinity derives from the toys that I played with, not the decisions I made.
No. Okay, so she's an author,
Everything
right?
when you grow up,
Feminist, so
obviously,
she's
everyone-
wide known. All across Europe, she's known as a feminist, right? Now, in her book, she talks about what feminine means to her. Now, she is a white woman, middle class. Her experience of feminism,
But
why
then that's
she
still
thought that she
influenced,
was
like
being
if it's
treated unfairly.
different for men and women. then
Can I ask
I don't identify with
Can I ask you a simple
She's a rich
question?
woman.
What age would
But that's not to
an
say
individual
that
normally
she
stop playing
can't
the
be a
video?
feminist because she is a middle class white woman.
Getting too hooked up on these.
No, I need to understand because you said the reason you mentioned toys, you're saying that
It
influence
could be,
your choice.
listen, it could be toys, could be one, it could be types of sports.
Okay, so answer my question. Why do less number of women enroll in engineering classes?
Are you asking me this because you already know the answer?
No, I'm asking a genuine
Let me
question.
ask questions.
I'm asking a genuine question. Why do less number of women? Because you talked about equality. The question is, why do less number of women enroll in engineering classes? And this is a fact everywhere. Not only in this country, every country around the world. Why is that?
I think the point my friend was trying to make is that the tools that you give youth, children, to utilize and to encourage their development to different stages in their lives are very much
Are you guys serious?
There's like a big heap of toys. Okay, listen. You pick any you like. I was born in Sri Lanka. No women. Women are told. I'm just told when they're born, like when they're growing up, they should be taught.
That I agree with.
Women don't want to get their hands dirty with oil and Vaseline.
Okay, right. On the toys. We're gonna end the toys. We're gonna end the toys.
I agree with that.
The toys is influence, right?
And then the consumers,
That's very true. That's why.
influences.
But it's the same reason. So what is
I'm not saying it's not an excuse. I'm saying it's a reason for why there is.
What reason would they have in this country for not choosing engineering?
It's less intense, but it's a similar thing.
No, I don't think anyone here
On the
pushes the
toys,
limit.
right?
Or to a particular
I get it.
career.
The toys.
Unless it's nursing or something.
Specifically, I should have said like environmental factors.
What you're saying,
Are you giving the same response as
there
this
isn't a
lady?
correlation between what toys
Is
you
your
play with and
response
what
the
you
same as
become,
this lady?
right?
Well, there's no evidence for that
That-
Of course.
anyway.
That society
That
influences
society that
Yeah.
says
women
girls should play with this, boys should play
to
with that.
go
That's
towards a
society.
particular career.
So we can't change that. No, exactly.
I think
But
it's
the way it's advertised, the way it's advertised, right? So that's society. We can't change that.
So I would blame the society and the women for falling for that.
I know. What I'm saying is,
when you're younger than
I think, you know what,
music
this is why we waste time when we fight about ridiculous examples like
I
this.
agree.
And then we think we should call it feminism.
Guys, you asked for an example, one example, it wasn't the whole life. Like, she's not going to give you like 30 examples.
but it's something we can't change. We're not going to change
You say
adverts.
what else, I'm going to pick something, and then everyone's going to discuss that for
How-
so long.
Okay.
Where's Mohammed Hijab when you need him? This is Mohammed Hijab's territory.
How do you market an action man to a girl?
She called herself.
First of all, Action Man's a dog.
Action man's a dog. How do you market?
You are a tomboy.
How do you market a toy gun to a girl?
I don't know. Like, no
problem is the society and the
You know, you have that when we were children. It's a bit different now.
My favorite colour is pink. So.
Yeah, but like when you were younger, it was like pink is
We just have questions as examples.
so when you're walking down the patrol, really take
Okay, here's another career.
Yeah, I agree.
and then you
Can I discuss you? My friends like half an hour late.
Okay, that's fine.
But it was nice to
No
discuss
problem.
smoking.
Likewise, take care, guys.
And if you were like a particular race, well, you'd go to blue. You know,
I thought you were with them. No?
When it comes to the toys, it comes down to the advertising and the targeting.
Yeah, what is your definition?
yeah.
Well, because I think that
Get the
it's
marketing
about
teams
empowering
to
both genders.
One at a time, one at a time, one at a time.
Both genders?
That's
Like, as in, for you it's okay to be feminine, and for me it's okay to be masculine, and for me that's what feminism means. Is that if you feel that society is inhibiting you from being feminine,
You think feminism is basically empowering both the genders?
yeah.
Okay. So I don't,
It's not just for
as,
women.
as,
It's not
as,
like,
as a man, I don't think that would be anything objectionable in that. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't think most feminists think like that.
I think
I don't think you've spoken to enough feminists to say that.
I agree with him. I agree with him.
Yeah,
Many feminists want more rights
Yes.
than men, and they shame men.
Yes, yes. They want
The ideology
supremacy,
of
no
feminism
equality.
is what she says, but a lot of women don't do that.
Yes.
I think,
A lot of women want
in
supremacy, no
any
equality.
ideology, right? You get people who.
Okay, let me give you another scenario. Say for example,
What was the first scenario?
I think we have lots of subjective opinions about that. And I don't think we'll get to the
Let's
end.
finish with the toys. Enough
Okay,
with the toys.
another scenario.
yeah, don't say toys.
Take firefighters for example. Yeah, if you as a woman were a firefighter and you were in charge of your fire brigade, your unit, and you know that you got both men and women. Yes. Now you got an emergency. Somebody has to go fast up the building, rescue the children and the men and the women, and come back. Yes. Whom would you send forward?
Well, I would choose the best firefighter, obviously.
Okay, when you say the best firefighter.
Like, I would not look at gender, I would look at who is the best.
Okay, so you wouldn't look at gender.
No, of course
So in
not.
terms of carrying,
What
about physical?
Remember-
Physical attributes, muscles, strength.
Remember-
Like, you're the best, go. I
No,
wouldn't
no.
be like, you have a
No, when you say-
so I'm gonna leave.
okay, when you say the best, what in terms of what? In terms of their physical ability, in terms of their speed.
I don't know what criteria firefighters are marked against, but I assume that the criteria that is used to grade a firefighter as good or bad, I would then use against
It's
them.
bravery, your physical
Are you a
ability.
firefighter?
I don't need to be a-
Well, then-
Cardio.
I've read an article
I
on
feel
this.
like we can't have this debate fully.
No.
Neither of us
Hold
are
on.
firefighters.
You see, in order to be discussing about engineers, we don't have to be engineers.
No.
You didn't.
I'm not critiquing engineering.
But
I'm not
in-
critiquing
Hold on. In order to discuss anything,
No, I'll take one.
hold on. In order to discuss any topic, you don't have to be that particular career.
No, I mean.
So I think that's a bad argument to say we can't talk about firefighters if you're not firefighters.
But you can't say the best firefighter.
If I've read about firefighters, I've read about this scenario, okay, and if I have actually seen these actual firefighters, how they respond to this question, then I think we should discuss that.
So I think what you're trying to get at here is.
Let me finish. I haven't finished it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, then you can tell me what I'm getting at. So these firefighters, when they were asked the questions, they would say they would send the strongest men up there.
Strongest men.
Yes, strongest men, because sometimes these firefighters, in order to rescue children and women and men even, yes, they have to physically carry their bodies on them because they might be faint, they might have just be unconscious. Yes. Do you really think if you were the woman head and you had the ability to dictate who should go and rescue, you would send the women in your team when you know there are able-bodied men who could do this job much better than the women? I'm not, of course I'm saying. So you would send. So I wouldn't say, when you say the best firefighter, I think that's more of a ambiguity there. But if I told you they have to be obviously brave, and I'm not saying women are not brave, but they have to be physically also able to carry another body and bring it down from a top of a building.
If the woman could do that and she was better than the man at it, I would send her. Is that what you're asking? Because that's what I'm saying.
If the woman, which is I think an exceptional case, because most of the firefighters when they recruit them, they make sure that they are healthy and strong.
In which case there wouldn't be any women in my team if they couldn't do it, right?
You wouldn't be a feminist if you said that.
No, you wouldn't choose.
Are you saying that you wouldn't have? You know.
If women couldn't conduct their job as a firefighter, then I don't think they should be firefighters. But there are female firefighters, and therefore.
So what happened to the equality that we talked about?
But your equality is based on your ability.
So you're somehow agreeing with.
Feminism says that women should get
You are
equal
agreeing now.
opportunity.
You
for
are
their
somehow
ability.
agreeing with what I was saying earlier, that it is not equality. I don't think you were here. The other lady was here.
Yeah,
Yeah?
the
Saying
Yeah.
not equality, but equity.
Equity, yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Equity is all
But I
about, it's
never-
not about equality.
Yeah, but I never
Because
said
if
that.
it was equality, no, that's why I said it wasn't you, it was the other lady. So that's why I said that when feminism talks about equality, I don't think they understand fully what we are talking about. And it's always comparing women to men. I don't know why. Why using men as a standard for your empowerment? You as a woman are much empowering when it comes to, for example, nurturing children. I think the women, when it comes to being merciful, when it comes to even certain certain careers, like for example, if you were a speaker or something, I think women most, in terms of teaching, the ability to teach, they are much better than men in many cases. But if you're going to use men as your standard, then I think that's a limitation. Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Then that'll be a limitation. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think we're in complete agreement about that. But I think that you should have objective standards for any profession, and women should have the opportunity to challenge that standard.
But you do understand most of the standards are subjective, not objective.
Sure, but if women can lift a 200-pound man, right? They can climb a building. They have incredible bravery if they demonstrated it, and they can do that better than any of the other men around them. I'm sending her into the building to save that child. I absolutely will.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay. So I think we're actually really
But we both know that is an exception.
You've been agreeing for about 5 minutes.
No, but we both know what you just said there is an exception. Most of the time,
I think it's an exception because men,
Most of the time-
clinically speaking, men have more testosterone and they're more likely.
no, most of the time they're physically stronger. Okay. For example, if I told you let's go to the Olympics and have men and women compete in every single event, then you would say no, that's not fair. You see what I mean?
In UFC, they'll never have a woman fighting a man.
Well, we know what the result of that would be. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So would that be fair?
What, for men to compete against women?
Yes.
In like the Olympics.
In every event.
If a woman said, "I want to challenge the men," then for sure. Or if a man said,
No,
"I want
I
to
said
challenge the
I said
women,"
in every event.